Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we continue our exploration of metabolic restoration. We've established the foundational framework, that beautiful bioenergetic picture of cellular energy that guides all our work.
Exactly. And for months, we've dug deep into the building blocks, right? Getting rid of the destructive industrial oils, prioritizing thyroid-supportive foods, stabilizing blood sugar.
All the crucial stuff.
Yeah.
But if you've been following the main show, you know that diet and supplements, as critical as they are, that only gets you about, 80% of the way there?
If you're lucky. And that missing 20%, that's often where the real frustration sets in.
It really is. It's that environmental link that just sabotages people who are doing everything right. They're tracking their temperatures, they're flawless with their nutrition, and they still wake up at 2 in the morning, heart racing, mind spinning.
So today, we're stepping completely outside the kitchen.
And outside the supplement cabinet, we're talking about light.
Our mission today is to really unpack the profound and, frankly, destructive role of light exposure. This isn't just about vision or, getting good sleep. We're using those core bioenergetic insights, especially from someone like Ray Peat, who really identified light as a fundamental energy input.
So it's not just a passive thing in our environment.
Not at all. It's either profoundly protective or intensely destructive to our biology. And it all comes down to its timing and its quality, its spectral quality.
We're exploring exactly how the type and timing of that light impacts the energy systems we talk about on the main show. The thyroid regulation, the cortisol balance. Think of light as this invisible lever that most people don't even know they're pulling.
A lever that determines whether your metabolism runs smoothly or just completely stalls out.
Okay, let's unpack this idea. I think we have to start with a concept that sounds a little dramatic, calling light a poison.
It does, but the data really backs it up.
Yet the clinical data and the mechanisms, they absolutely justify it.
Right.
When we look at the people whose metabolisms have stalled, the reality of light toxicity is it's startling.
It truly is. We have this, this instinctive idea that light means life and warmth and energy, which, of course, is true for sunlight during the day.
Right.
But context is everything. When that same light shows up at the wrong time or in the wrong quality, it just generates these stress signals that our bodies are just not equipped to handle long term.
Let's use the example of Michelle. I think her case is so classic.
Absolutely.
Michelle was, by all measures, she was a model student of metabolic health. She had eliminated all the PFAs, the industrial seed oils. She's getting enough carbs for fuel, good supplements, and her morning temperature.
The key metric.
It was clearly moving in the right direction. She'd managed to raise it from a really concerning 96.8 up to 97.6.
So she was getting real wins, tangible victories.
Exactly. But despite that progress, she was just hitting this wall of symptoms that would not go away.
And they were debilitating symptoms.
Totally. She could fall asleep just fine, which was great, but then, like clockwork, she would bolt awake at 2 a.m. Heart pounding, mind spinning with this low-grade anxiety.
During the day.
Just this generalized anxiety, even with no major life stressors. Her hands and feet were always cold, which totally defied that rising core temperature. And she had this brain fog that just wouldn't lift past the middle of the afternoon.
So when she came back to her coach, frustrated, saying, I'm doing everything right with my food, what gives? The conversation had to pivot completely away from nutrition.
Right. It became about her environment. So walk us through Michelle's typical evening routine, because I think it's a blueprint for metabolic disaster in the modern world.
It really is the textbook definition of light toxicity. So Michelle was a graphic designer, and she worked from home. She wasn't just, typing emails. She was editing photos, which means staring intensely at a very bright, high-resolution screen, often until 10 or 11 p.m.
And the lighting in her home.
Bright, energy-efficient LED overhead lights everywhere. And then, here's the kicker. After she turns off the computer, she gets into bed, immediately picks up her phone, and scrolls social media under the covers.
Of course.
And on top of all that, a bright street light was streaming in through her window, and she kept a little nightlight on in the room.
Wow. So that's just a complete inversion of her evolved environment. All her hard work with nutrition to heal her thyroid, it was just being hammered by this constant assault of the wrong light.
Precisely. To really get the gravity of this, we sometimes use the analogy of the ancient power plant. Your body, it evolved over millions of years to operate in two very distinct modes.
Daytime and nighttime.
Right. Daytime mode is full production, high energy burning, mobilizing cortisol, being vigilant. It's all fueled by light. Nighttime mode is all about restoration, deep cellular repair, waste removal. a process that is triggered and sustained by absolute darkness.
And for all of human history, the trigger for that was just the sun. Sunrise meant you flip the on switch. Sunset, you flip the off switch. Simple.
And that reliability is now completely gone. That's the tragedy. Artificial light, especially the blue heavy light from our screens and LEDs, is sending a high-intensity daytime signal to the brain long after the sun has gone down.
So when Michelle was scrolling at 11:30 p.m., her brain was essentially seeing midday sunshine.
Exactly. And that prevents the whole system from ever fully shifting into that restoration mode. The crucial nighttime repair crews, the ones that rely on melatonin and deep rest, they never get the signal to start their work.
It's compelling, but I can hear a listener thinking, okay, I feel fine, maybe just a little tired, what's the big deal? And this is where the data gets over. Well, it gets terrifying. It shows this isn't just a small mistake. It translates into real life-threatening risks.
Let's talk about that massive JAMA Network Open study.
Yeah, let's do it.
This study is so important because it wasn't based on, flimsy self-reported data. This was a landmark study. They tracked nearly 89,000 adults for almost a decade, and critically, they used actual objective light sensors.
So they weren't just asking, do you sleep with a nightlight on? They were measuring the actual amount of light in the bedroom.
Exactly. They're quantifying it. And the results, they linked this nighttime light exposure directly to core cardiovascular health. The people exposed to the brightest nighttime environments had an increased risk that should honestly alarm everyone.
Okay, what were the numbers?
They had up to a 56% higher risk of heart failure.
56%.
56. And a massive 47% higher risk of heart attack compared to the people who slept in the darkest environments.
Wow. 56% higher risk of heart failure. I mean, that is not a subtle correlation. That is a major, major increase. It completely reframes this conversation. Light is not some peripheral lifestyle factor.
No, it's a systemic metabolic driver of disease. It confirms that this destruction goes right to the core of how our cells manage energy and how our heart functions. The study also found significantly higher rates of coronary artery disease and stroke in that group.
So it's hitting the heart, the body's biggest, most energy-hungry muscle.
It is. We've created this completely unnatural inversion. Dim, low-energy indoor days, and then artificially bright, high-stress nights. And our metabolism is paying the ultimate price for it. We've just confused our biology, telling it it's time for production when it should be time for repair.
Okay, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's move past the big studies and dive into the specific biochemistry that explains Michelle's racing heart and cold hands. We need to connect the dots, right? From the light on your face to the temperature on your thermometer.
It all starts with the master clock.
The command center deep in the brain.
Exactly. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN for short. It's this tiny cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus, and it's the master regulator for basically every hormonal and cellular process that's tied to our 24-hour rhythm.
And it's not blind. It needs input to know what time it is.
And that input comes from these really special cells in our eyes that, and this is fascinating, they have nothing to do with our ability to actually see things.
That's the key detail, isn't it?
It is. These special ganglion cells are non-visual. Their one and only job is to detect blue light wavelengths, which peak right around that specific 480 nanometer range.
So when they detect that blue light,
the signal goes straight to the SCN, and the message is simple. It is daytime. Commence production, mobilize energy.
And that daytime signal has immediate, powerful hormonal consequences.
The primary consequences are twofold. First, the complete suppression of melatonin production, and second, the promotion of cortisol release. During the day, that's perfect. That's what we want. Cortisol mobilizes glucose, keeps us alert. Melatonin needs to be low so we can function.
But the metabolic catastrophe happens when we flip that. When Michelle was staring at her bright LED screen at 10 p.m., her SCN was getting the exact same signal it would from the midday sun.
It's a biological lie. The brain registers daytime. Melatonin, the hormone of darkness and restoration, is immediately shut down, and cortisol, the stress hormone, stays artificially high. It forces the body to stay locked in that high-stress production mode.
And we know from the bioenergetic framework that chronic cortisol elevation is it's the #1 enemy of our metabolic rate and our thyroid function. So how exactly does this light-induced cortisol spike slam the brakes on our metabolism?
This is the core of the cortisol-melatonin-thyroid triangle. Cortisol, when it's constantly elevated by light at night, it's like a heavy blanket smothering your thyroid gland. Its main job is to severely suppress the conversion of thyroid hormone in the periphery.
So from T4 to T3.
Right. It reduces that essential conversion of T4, which is the inactive storage form, into T3, the active metabolism-boosting hormone that generates heat and energy.
And it gets worse than just slowing down that conversion, doesn't it?
Oh, much worse. Cortisol actively promotes the creation of something called reverse T3, or RT3.
Okay.
This is an inactive metabolite, but it doesn't just sit there. It's structurally similar enough to the active T3 that it literally blocks the T3 receptors on your cells.
So it's like jamming the lock on the metabolic engine.
It's the perfect analogy. It acts as a profound brake pedal on your entire system, and it doesn't matter how much T4 you're making or even taking as a supplement.
So let's say a listener is meticulously eating all the right nutrients, getting enough protein, selenium, copper, all the things you need for thyroid health. But their morning temperature is just stuck at, say, 97.2. The implication here is that this chronic stress signal from the light is keeping their cortisol high enough to just overpower all that good nutritional input.
It's a functional sabotage. The environmental stress signal creates a leak in the metabolic boat that no amount of nutritional patching can fix. The body perceives an emergency and slams the brakes on energy use.
And that stress angle goes beyond just the thyroid, especially for women dealing with hormonal imbalances. We should probably touch on the estrogen connection here.
Absolutely. High cortisol and estrogen balance have this really destructive relationship. Chronic stress often promotes excessive production of estrogen, and at the same time, it impairs the liver's ability to detoxify it and clear it out.
So nighttime light exposure is directly contributing to symptoms of estrogen dominance. Things like heavy periods, bad PMS, breast tenderness.
Exactly. We saw this play out perfectly with Lisa, the night shift nurse.
Oh, that's a great example.
Lisa's case was just heartbreakingly common. She had all the classic debilitating symptoms of estrogen dominance, and she was diligently following the protocols, doing the raw carrot salad to bind excess estrogen, liver support.
But no improvement.
Month after month, nothing. Because her entire work and sleep schedule was forcing her into this permanent state of hormonal stress no matter what she ate.
She was working from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., right?
Right, under bright, cold, fluorescent hospital lights. Then she tried to sleep during the brightest part of the day. It completely inverted her circadian rhythm and guaranteed her body was constantly spiking cortisol when it desperately needed to rest.
And what happened when she managed to change that one thing, that one environmental stressor?
The result was just dramatic proof of concept. Lisa managed to switch to day shifts. And here's the key. She kept the exact same diet and supplement protocol.
Nothing else changed.
Nothing. And within 2 months, her estrogen-dominant symptoms improved profoundly. Her cycle normalized, the breast tenderness vanished. It just confirmed that the light environment was the dominant driver of her hormonal problems, completely overriding everything else she was doing.
So let's talk about the third corner of that triangle, melatonin. We always think of it as just a sleep aid, but suppressing it every night removes this really crucial layer of cellular protection.
Melatonin is a true biological powerhouse that we suppress at our own peril. It is one of the most potent, essential antioxidants your body makes. It's critical for protecting the delicate machinery of your mitochondria, your cellular energy factories, from oxidative stress.
And it does more than that.
Oh, yeah. It regulates inflammation. It's foundational to proper immune function. When you chronically suppress melatonin with light at night, you are stripping away this entire layer of protective maintenance.
And the research linking this to long-term disease risk it's really concerning.
It is stark. Low melatonin levels, especially from shift work or just light pollution, have been directly linked to increased cancer risk. The link is so clear that the World Health Organization, they don't mince words, they classify shift work that involves chronic light-at-night exposure as a probable human carcinogen.
Wow, a probable carcinogen. That puts scrolling on your phone in bed into a terrifying new context.
It does, and the specific data is horrifying. One massive study found that people exposed to the brightest nighttime light had a 55% higher risk of thyroid cancer.
55%.
55%, compared to those who slept in the dark. This is a direct quantifiable risk linked to that hormonal cascade started by the wrong light signals and the loss of melatonin's protection.
Okay, we have to zoom in on blue light now because it really is the specific villain in this modern environment. But we have to handle this carefully because blue light is also essential during the day. We need it.
That is the absolute foundation of the solution. It's all about context. Blue light during the day is critical. It sets your internal clock, it boosts alertness, it improves reaction time, stabilizes mood. The issue is purely twofold: timing and source quality.
Okay, let's break down the source mismatch first. If blue light is natural and helpful from the sun, why is the blue light from my phone or my LED bulbs so bad?
Because the sun delivers blue light as part of a full package. It's the full visible and invisible spectrum. So that blue light is packaged with enormous amounts of balancing red and near-infrared wavelength.
Okay, so it's not isolated.
Exactly. Those other wavelengths provide this counter signal that sort of mitigates the potential stress of the blue light. But artificial blue light, especially from screens on modern LEDs, it's isolated and it's concentrated. It's high-intensity blue, right in that problematic 480 nanometer range, but without any of the balancing, healing red and infrared light.
The biological mismatch.
It's a mismatch our ancient physiology just interprets as pure, unmitigated stress.
And this stress, it isn't just about hormones. It's about direct, visible cellular damage. The fruit fly study is a key piece of evidence here.
It's an essential and frankly shocking piece of evidence. Researchers exposed common fruit flies to blue light for 10 to 12 hours a day. Not 247, but something mirroring a modern workday.
And the results?
Dramatic. Those flies had more than a 50% reduction in their lifespan.
50%. Just from blue light.
A 50% reduction in lifespan, and they developed clear, measurable signs of neurodegenerative changes in their brains.
So wait, the damage went beyond just their eyes. How did that work? Was the light actually getting through their tiny skulls?
That's the critical point. In the fruit fly, the high-energy blue light was penetrating deep enough into their tissue to cause direct cellular damage in non-visual parts of their central nervous system. It triggers free radicals, oxidative stress, and the researchers issued this very stark warning that's relevant to us. They said a typical modern office worker under overhead LEDs for 8 hours plus several hours on screens is easily exceeding the light exposure levels that caused lethal damage in that fly model.
So we're basically accepting an exposure level in our daily lives that's been proven in animal models to accelerate neurological aging.
And cause destructive cellular stress. And critically, the study showed that the older flies were way more vulnerable. It suggests that this cumulative exposure from decades of working under intense artificial light accelerates biological aging. You just can't ignore that.
It makes Ray Peat's observations from decades ago seem so prophetic. He noticed fluorescent lights gave him massive headaches. He was identifying a non-visual biological stressor long before the mainstream acknowledged it.
He was recognizing the physiological quality of the light. It wasn't just about brightness. It was the specific wavelength stress.
So the solution here isn't to retreat into a dark cave. It's about being strategic.
You just have to apply the same principle we use for food. You wouldn't knowingly eat a meal loaded with PUFAs just because everyone else does. We need to stop flooding ourselves with metabolically toxic blue light just because everyone has a phone.
It's about intentionality.
The rule of timing is our guide. It's beautifully simple. Blue light during the day, especially outdoors, great. Blue light after sunset, problematic. Red and warm light in the evening is protective. And total, profound darkness for sleep is essential.
We're just trying to get back to biological consistency.
That's all it is.
Okay, so now that we've covered the damage, let's pivot to the positive action. What is the most powerful, free metabolic intervention that's available to us? Morning sunlight.
It is the single most powerful tool, and it costs absolutely nothing. When actual outdoor morning sunlight hits your eyes, and we have to emphasize outdoor, it anchors your entire circadian rhythm for the next 24 hours.
And that anchoring is so critical. It ensures your cortisol spikes properly in the morning, which is the signal to wake up and mobilize energy. And it also means it will naturally decline in the evening, paving the way for melatonin.
It's a powerful domino effect. Morning light boosts serotonin, and serotonin is the precursor for melatonin later that night. So getting morning sun improves your energy today and your sleep tonight.
But this is where it gets really interesting, beyond just the clock. It's not just about setting the rhythm, it's about physically charging your cellular batteries. Let's get into the mitochondrial mechanism of photobiomodulation.
This is core bioenergetic framework stuff. We're talking about the key player inside the mitochondria, an enzyme called Cytochrome C Oxidase.
The final step in making ATP, the engine room of the cell.
Exactly. It's the bottleneck for cellular energy, and what's miraculous is that this enzyme has specific photoreceptors built right into it that absorb light. specifically red and near-infrared light, in that 600 to 1,000 nanometer range.
Warming colors of the sun.
Exactly. And when those wavelengths hit the enzyme, the outcome is physical and measurable.
Okay, what happens?
The mechanism is really elegant. When your cells get stressed, say from light toxicity or poor nutrition, a molecule called nitric oxide can bind to that enzyme and slow down ATP production. The absorption of red and near-infrared light literally kicks that nitric oxide molecule off, freeing up the enzyme to work at maximum efficiency.
So it speeds up the whole energy production line.
Right. The physical result is your cells, your organs, your entire body just produces more cellular energy, more ATP.
And this isn't just a theory. There are thousands of studies on this.
Over 5,000 published studies confirming the benefits. This is why Ray Peat often suggested using a red light directly on the thyroid area. The wavelengths penetrate the tissue, reach the thyroid cells, and stimulate mitochondrial function right there, giving the whole gland an energy boost.
Let's highlight some of that research because it's stunning. Starting with the eye health study.
The vision study is incredible. Researchers had people look at a deep red light, specifically at 670 nanometers, for just 3 minutes a day.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Within 2 weeks, participants over 40 showed significant measurable improvements in color contrast sensitivity. This is a function that usually declines with age because the mitochondria and the retina decline. The light was literally recharging the cells in their eyes.
That's essentially reversing localized cellular aging just by giving it the right light. What about the metabolic effects?
The metabolic research is huge. Another study found that just 15 minutes of red light exposure on the back reduced post-meal blood glucose levels by nearly 28%.
Wow, 28%.
Think about that. That points directly to the cells using glucose more efficiently, which has massive implications for metabolic syndrome and diabetes management.
And it improves brain function too, right? Which ties back to Michelle's brain fog.
Absolutely. Cognitive studies using near-infrared light on the head showed significant improvements in memory, processing speed, and motor function. By improving brain energy production, the whole system just runs better.
And the key takeaway for everyone listening is you don't need to buy an expensive device to get this. Morning sunlight has all of these healing wavelengths naturally.
It is the ultimate source, perfectly packaged. And this is a core reason why people who work outdoors, farmers, laborers, often have fundamentally lower rates of these chronic diseases than office workers. They're getting daily doses of this beneficial light that indoor workers are completely deficient in.
But there is a huge non-negotiable catch here, and this is where most people go wrong. You have to get this exposure outdoors.
This point cannot be overstated. Glass, even clear window glass, filters out most of the beneficial red and near-infrared wavelengths, and it dampens the blue light you need to fully anchor your clock. You need direct, unmitigated outdoor exposure.
So the action item is immediate and mandatory for anyone who cares about their metabolic health.
Within 30 minutes of waking, get outside. 10 to 15 minutes of direct sunlight. No sunglasses. You need that light hitting your retina. And this still works on cloudy days. Cloudy daylight is still something like 10,000 to 25,000 lux. Typical indoor light is maybe 300 to 500. Your biology absolutely knows the difference.
Okay, let's turn back to the evening now.
Okay.
Because even if you get that perfect morning sunlight, you can undo all of that good work in 5 minutes of screen time after sunset. Our devices are metabolic poisons if we don't use them strategically.
They are actively generating daily stress signals. The cycle of destruction starts with that high-intensity blue light coming from a foot away that your SCN interprets as midday sunshine.
So it's immediate, measurable melatonin suppression.
And a massive disruption to the whole system. Research shows evening screen use can delay melatonin onset by up to 2 hours. Cortisol stays pathologically high when it should be dropping. The result is just poor quality sleep, even if you manage to fall asleep for 8 hours.
And that exhaustion the next day forces your body into emergency mode.
Exactly. You wake up in a deficit, so you reach for coffee and sugar to compensate. This messes up your hunger hormones, forces your body to run on cortisol and adrenaline instead of efficient T3. And that whole chronic loop of stress starts with the light toxicity from the night before.
And we have to emphasize this isn't just about bright lights. Even really dim light has damaging effects.
Even 5 lux is a threat. Exposure to just 5 lux, that's like the brightness of a very dim nightlight, is strongly associated with increased symptoms of depression. A tablet screen is 40 lux. A typical room is 300 to 500. We are saturated with these stress signals.
And the mental health connection is huge. It confirms this is a core metabolic issue. The brain and metabolism are completely linked.
A major study confirmed this. People exposed to more light at night had significantly higher rates of depression, anxiety, PTSD, you name it. And the researchers found the absolute worst combination was dim days and bright nights.
The exact scenario of the modern office worker.
Who wears sunglasses during the day and scrolls in bed at night? It's a recipe for disaster.
So how do we mitigate this? Give us the detailed, practical protocol for shutting down the light poison in the evening.
Okay. After sunset, you have to eliminate or dramatically reduce blue light. The easiest way to start is with high-quality orange or red-tinted blue-blocking glasses. They have to be certified to actually block that 400, 500 nanometer range.
Those cheap yellow computer glasses won't cut it.
They won't. They only block a tiny fraction. You need the real deal. Then, change the physical lighting in your home.
Right.
Switch to warmer wavelengths. Incandescent bulbs are ideal because they have that broad spectrum with red and infrared. Or use candles or dedicated red LED bulbs. Your evening environment has to be warm and dim, like a sunset.
And for the devices themselves?
Use night mode on everything, but understand that's only a partial solution. You have to combine it with the blue-blocking glasses for full protection. And ideally, you stop all screen use 1 hour before bed. Read a physical book, talk to someone, take a warm bath.
Finally, the sleep environment itself.
Total, complete darkness. It's non-negotiable. You have to cover every single one of those little LED indicator lights on chargers and smoke detectors. Use heavy blackout curtains or a sleep mask. Light can get through your eyelids.
It sounds extreme to some people.
But we have to challenge that. True darkness isn't extreme. It's biologically normal. Our chronically lit environments with streetlights and glowing phones, that's what's abnormal. You're not being extreme, you're just seeking biological normality by prioritizing true darkness.
So let's put it all together. Let's synthesize this into the complete circadian protocol, the 6 steps that turned Michelle's health around when nothing else was working.
Step 1, the morning protocol. Within 30 minutes of waking, you get outside. 10 to 15 minutes of direct sunlight. No sunglasses, no window in between, just you and the sun.
Step 2, daytime protocol. Maximize natural light all day, work near a window, take your breaks outside, even if it's cloudy. Feed your body that full spectrum light.
Step 3, the evening transition. Sun goes down, blue blockers go on immediately. Switch your ambient lighting to warm, dim sources. Incandescents, candles, red LEDs. Mimic the sunset.
Step 4, the pre-sleep routine. Eliminate all screens 1 hour before bed. And critically, have a proper bedtime snack. Milk and honey, cheese and fruit. Something to stabilize your blood sugar and prevent that 3 a.m. cortisol spike.
Step 5, the sleep environment. Complete, total, unrelenting darkness. Cover every LED. Keep the room cool, ideally 65 to 68 degrees. No phones, no glowing lights.
And step 6, this is for people who still wake up in the middle of the night.
Right, which is often a blood sugar dip. Keep a little bit of orange juice or raw milk by your bed. If you wake up, have a small sip. The absolute key is do not turn on any lights and do not check your fan. Just let sleep return.
And the outcome for Michelle after doing all this is the ultimate proof.
Her results were profound, with no other changes to her diet. Her sleep normalized in 2 weeks. She was slipping through the night. Her morning temperature rose another half a degree, and her anxiety decreased significantly within a month. The environmental fix just unleashed the power of all her nutritional work.
So if you are doing all the foundational nutritional stuff, but your temperature, your sleep, or your mood is just stuck, the light environment is almost certainly the culprit.
It really is. And we should carry Ray Peat's nuanced perspective here. He knew that darkness itself can be a stressor if your liver glycogen runs out and you wake up at 3 a.m. But inappropriate light is its own equally powerful form of stress.
All about balance.
The key is consistency. Bright, full-spectrum days and dark, restorative nights.
If you find yourself wearing sunglasses all day, blocking the good light, while you're blasting yourself with artificial blue light every night, you have it exactly backwards.
You've inverted the entire biological equation. Your environment is telling your body to panic all the time.
Flip that script tonight. Your metabolic health depends on it.
So this deep dive was all about how light timing regulates rest and minimizes chronic stress. Next week, we're going to dive into the opposite side of that. Intentional metabolic stress. What happens when we intentionally induce stress through things like chronic cold exposure, prolonged fasting, intense exercise?
It raises a really important question.
It does. Where's the line between optimizing stress, which people call hormesis, and just causing chronic long-term cellular damage? We'll be discussing the research in our deep dive on episode 23, The Hormesis Deception.
We encourage you to take immediate action. Get outside tomorrow morning. Make your bedroom darker tonight. Light isn't just something you see by. It's a fundamental, powerful nutrient that dictates your cellular energy. Use it wisely. We'll see you next time on the Deep Dive.